Previously, in the dungeon of the Mad Mage, the party found themselves in the library of Dwemercore. I think I've started like 4. That's appropriate, very appropriate. I feel like I think I've started 4 recaps by saying that phrase. Ezrah had just completed his research for the evening, and the party discussed amongst themselves the many different possibilities and avenues that lay before them. Ultimately, they decided to investigate a seemingly more benign request. Elon Freth, the Drow illusionist, had asked the party's aid in restoring a semblance of normality to the Magic Academy. They had already corrected the problem which had closed the conjuration class, and apparently there was some sort of problem with the transmutation class as well. Elon didn't have many details, just that the class was no longer scheduled, and that an ominous statue had appeared within it. Feeling as if Elon had been one of the more approachable members of the school, the party decided he would be safe to curry favor with. Also, opening up more of the school's functionality could be a possible boon to them. Besides, Bones was cobbling together a plan to distract the headmaster, curry favor with several students, and pull off a heist simultaneously, and Elon's help could be vital. So, the party made their way towards the transmutation class, but along the way they decided they might explore a bit. Within the dining hall, several members of the party identified a draft behind the tapestry that hung on its northern wall. Bones investigated and was faced with a guardian Ifrit. Bones assuaged the Ifrit with a bribe before Matashtai figured out that they could still pass through beyond the guardian's territory, as long as the Ifrit was the one touching the tapestry. They continued onward and found a simple chamber with an incredibly strange Nothic, which had a frankly weird crystalline helmet strapped to its head. It seemed to be imprisoned within the chamber and occasionally shouted nonsensical responses into the ether. Unable to make heads or tails of the situation, the party continued on, finding themselves between the illusion and divination classrooms, as well as the strange secret room where Matashtai had encountered the Halaster horrors. They decided to continue through the divination classroom, where they struck up a conversation with the magic orb, Professor Bring. Bring specialized in 2 subjects of some particular interest to the party: Zorn and the history of Undermountain. Bones was able to get some information about the corrupted crystals he carried and what it might do to moss-covered rock near stream. The party then asked a series of questions about Undermountain, culminating in Professor Bring listing for them the levels of the dungeon, potentially quite useful information. The party realized they might be able to use the professor's knowledge in the future and resolved to think of more potential questions to ask. In the meantime, they continued onward, finally making their way to the transmutation classroom. Within the ebb and flow of its changing colored lights, the party found the ominous golden statue of a young androgynous human figure, as well as what appeared to be 3 petrified dragon's eggs. Ezrah was able to determine a number of magical effects about the room, namely that a very strong transmutation ritual was placed upon the golden statue. The party surmised that the statue was very likely not what it seemed. Matashtai thought that the best way to figure out what it was by pulling it free of the circle in which it stood. Whether he was correct or not, as he dragged the statue out of the circle, it came to life, shouting a challenge against Halaster Blackcloak, and a moment later, the figure's eyes came to lay upon the petrified dragon's eggs. It roared with anguish and fury, shifting its form to that of a silver dragon. It was clear that the dragon was in a state of emotional anguish, lashing out around it. As the party prepared to defend themselves, Matashtai attempted to talk reason to the creature, and though it heard his words, it responded with an attack that left him paralyzed. Fortunately, Ezrah, speaking in Draconic and exhibiting a rare moment of authority, shouted for the dragon to calm itself, to realize that they were not the cause of its misfortune. In the following moments, Nindeltath, the shadow of a moonglade, regained their senses and briefly told the party their story. The loss of their home, battles more than 100 years hence, and the apparent culmination of the loss of their eggs. It was clear that Nindeltath was a broken figure, in need of time to find its will again. At Matashtai's suggestion, the dragon decided to seek out Ezrah, and after unpetrifying the remains of their ruined eggs, the party assisted them in leaving the academy. On their way out, after a brief encounter with the headmaster, Nindeltath confirmed for the party that the headmaster of the Magic Academy of Dwemercore was indeed not Halaster Blackcloak. The party returned to the transmutation classroom, collected the remains of the eggs, and planned their next moves. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.